I think it's just Chassidus tonight. Any requests?
To me?
Yeah,
Show me some.
Oh, is there something
small more fast one.
Hebraic, perhaps?
Gives us some time. Steve, our sponsors.
Moshe Abrams with gratitude to Rabbi Shalom for creating open miracles in our time. Israel Bloom in honor of Shmuel Rabban Korupkin and the upcoming marriage of their son David. The safe return of all the hostages at the end of the hostilities against Klal Yisrael, and for the Rav and his ongoing inspiration. And me, Liloi Nishma, Sarab Noah Kaklayim, and Mikhail, whose yard site is next Thursday night of
I want to say a tremendous thank you to all of our sponsors, and of course a tremendous thank you to Tzvi, and to our new addition to the our new addition to the Chassidus culinary team, Reb Baruch. So Reb Yaakov Barenstein, Reb Yaakov Barenstein. Baruch Hashem is the meat hummus is you.
Hummus was amazing.
From Baruch Hashem. Let's see again. Baruch Hashem, we have quite a lineup over here of culinary talent. I'm sorry. You cannot. You cannot bring anything here. This is not like Nilas Achag and Achron Shal Pesach. You can't.
Just
Bring
about
your,
a salad.
bring your matzah, your macaroons. No. You must be pre-approved. You must be pre-approved to do anything with food in the shul. I'll say a tremendous shkoyach again to all of our sponsors, and we'll say, of course, we, as Maishi mentioned in his sponsorship today, that Baruch Hashem, Hodu Hashem Kitov Kilam Chazdo, that we were all davening today for little Tzion Marin, and Baruch Hashem, little boy found safely after missing for a number of hours, who all the different things that could have happened that the Rebbeinu Shalom prevented from happening. Hodu Hashem Kitov Kili Olam Chazdo. We thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kilo Samu Chasadecha Kini Olam Kivinu Lach. The Rebbeinu Shalom does so much for us. Sometimes in the midst of all of this difficulty and all of the tzaras that we are currently undergoing, the fact that we're still davening for all of our hostages, for the safety and security of our soldiers, it is so important that in the midst of all of that, we recognize the beautiful nisim and niflaos HaKadosh Baruch Hu performs for us each and every day. This little boy should be gebenched, Hashem, he should be zocheh to a life from nisim and niflaos until 120, and we should be zocheh Hashem to see the natural and the supernatural miracles in our lives each and every day for many years to come. I'll say with that, let us begin. So we have some really beautiful pieces by the Rebbe tonight. So we are continuing in Os Chaf Gimel. And of course, I will say tremendous shkach to Reb Steve, our Shir Gabbai, who always rounds up all of the sponsorships. And Baruch Hashem, is so beautiful to have such a robust chavra here tonight.
He's a little aggressive.
He's a little passive aggressive. Still looking for sponsors. You know what? Imen kamach in chumus. That's the way this is going to work. No sponsorships. That's so really a tremendous shkach. I will say really, I will say this. It's interesting. This is like the one show I see, like the amount of pre-planning. Usually the conversations about the Thursday night chaburah begin they're getting early and early. They used to begin on Tuesday. Now even sometimes Sunday, Monday. Right. So Baruch Hashem. So we're continuing tonight in Os Chaf Gimel. So remember again, for those who are new, who are joining us, remember we're studying the Rebbe's Tzav, which is the Rebbe's journal. Piaget's the Rebbe's journal. And in this journal, what's so unique about this is not a classic sefer, with notes and citations and footnotes and marmakomos. This is from the Rebbe's heart. So the Rebbe's heart. These are like his deep personal thoughts that ultimately, again, he committed to writing. That we have the schos to really enter into the neshama of the Rebbe and to experience his struggles, to experience his successes, and for the Rebbe ultimately, again, what's really incredibly beautiful about this is, in this Tzav V'Zeiros, is where the Rebbe kind of plots out for himself his derech of personal success. And so we get to share in that a little bit as well and be able to see the things and the strategies that work for the Rebbe that hopefully we can apply for ourselves as well. So with that, Os Chaf Gimel. The Rebbe says as follows. So we'll say actually a couple of shorter pieces tonight. Hopefully we're going to make it to Chaf Vav, which is a big piece about Shalashudis, which we'll get to hopefully it's beginning tonight. So Chaf Gimel. Hatashukin v'akisufin tovim rakim ovdim. So we'll say this actually kind of dovetails a little bit with what we learned last week. So the Rebbe says, let's translate, and then Amirat Hashem will delve a little bit deeper. So Hatashukin v'akisufin, which we'll translate right now as yearning and pining. Person has a teshuka for something, they have a desire for something. These are positive desires. Kisufin is yearning. So there's a piece of me that yearns and wants. So the Rebbe says, yearning, pining, and wanting kedusha, wanting self-actualization, wanting growth is incredibly profound. But it's only profound and impactful if what? Im ovdin bahem. If you do something to bring it to reality. However, im olim al yedeim im atum harbe. The avoda when it comes to yearning and pining and desires and wants is, because I remember again, we saw last week that Rebbe says that sometimes a person thinks that as long as they want, that's enough. Right? I feel good because I want. Right? I want to do this. I want to daven. I want to learn. I want to be koveit in the Torah. I want to daven with me. And these are all different things that I want, and I'm very proud of myself that I have those desires. And by the way, that is something to be proud of. Because the truth is, you don't have to want it. A person could just be very happy being steeped in mediocrity and not get anywhere. So obviously, wanting Kedusha is an incredibly powerful thing, even if I'm not doing anything with that desire. The Rebbe says, here's the problem. That works as a haschala. That works as a beginning. But you can't live life just yearning. At a certain point in time, yearning has to turn into action. It has to become something. And the Rebbe says, well, this is the beginning general of Chassidus. Look what the Rebbe says, "Im ma'at v'im harbe." What does that mean, im ma'at v'im harbe? How would you translate that? A lot or a little.
Something.
Right, something. See what I said? This is the beauty of what the Rebbe is saying is, okay, I got it. I have yearning for spiritual greatness. So what do? I take one little step. So you say, oh, that's all? That's all? That's it? That's the best you could do? The Rebbe says sometimes in life, one little step is the best that I could do. Or maybe it's not the best I could do. Maybe I could do more. But just because I could do more doesn't take away from the steps that I'm taking. In other words, of course I could do more. I could always do more. But just because there can be more doesn't take away from the small step that it is that I'm taking right now in this moment. So yearning is a powerful start. But yearning has to translate into dynamic activity, some amount. Ima'atim harbe, some little amount. Vim lav. They both say, here's incredible. What happens if a yearning doesn't translate into dynamic activity? What ends up happening to a person if all I do is yearn? All I do, I think I mentioned this. I was about a year or two ago. I was sitting down with a group of high schoolers, and we were talking about just like what they want out of life, And so one of the boys, it was actually a very profound statement. He said, Rebbe, he said, I want to want. Right? And at first, I felt what does that mean? And then I realized, okay, that's godless for a teenager. I want to want. Right now, I don't want anything. I mean, I want stuff, but I want all the wrong stuff, right? So I want to want the right stuff. It's a maila. So I said to him, that's beautiful. And what are you doing in order to want? He said nothing. He said, I appreciate the honesty, right? You got it. Again, it was one of the most important things when it comes to personalistic growth is honesty. So the kid was saying, I'm not doing anything right now. And I'm not ready to do anything right now. I'm not committing to do anything right now. Obviously not good. I didn't give him a shkayach for that. But he definitely gets a shkayach for being honest with himself about where he's holding. So the Rebbe says, here's the problem. If all I have in life are these deep yearnings and desires and wants and teshukos and kisufin, but at a certain point, I never do anything with it. V'im lav, I don't do anything with it. Nolad bekerev ha'ish gam belo yidi'aso min yeush. I will say, this is so profound. What does unfulfilled yearning or unactualized yearning do to a person over time? What does it do? It creates a sense of despair, hopelessness, and depression. Why? This is incredible. Lemar, zeh kama shama mishtokek v'lo al sabiyadi. Because the person can say, look at me. I've been yearning for Kedusha for all of these years, and I've done absolutely nothing about it. What does that say about me as a person? What does that say about my drive? What does that say about my direction? What does that say about my kavana, my kivun? Right? What does it say about me as a person? That all these years I say, I want, yet I fail to launch. I don't do anything. The Rebbe says, this is incredible. See, I will say, the Rebbe is saying the danger of unfulfilled yearning is that it can lead a person to a sense of despair and depression. Feeling totally unfulfilled. In other words, essentially saying, I'm all talk, and no action. It's incredible. He says, Muchlat, he says, Muchlat ani b'nimichiyasi. There's only one thing I'm good at. What's the one thing I'm good at? Being a lowly individual. In other words, at a certain point in time, even a person finds goals and aspirations and wanting and yearning that is not followed up by action as empty self-promises. And that leads a person to become down on themselves. Va'od mafseku b'tishukos of chashon. Then what ends up happening? It becomes a vicious cycle. When I begin to give up on myself, and I begin to lose hope in myself, and I begin to feel that at the end of the day, there's really no hope for me, or I should say that this want is not really ever going to materialize. The Rebbe says at the end of the day, I end up losing the want. I end up losing the teshuka, end up losing the desire, and I just kind of fall into this abyss of incredible despair. Now, there's a couple of pieces in this that are incredibly important. So first of all, and this particular idea, the Rebbe has mentioned already in a number of different ways in Tzav v'Zerus. Obviously, the first step in life is you have to decide which one. We always talk about this, right? The first step in life is you got to decide where you're going. Sometimes, I think about this a lot also because we're coming to Elul now. It's incredible to say that, right? That we're coming to Elul now. And I will say sometimes, Elul is beautiful and Elul is wonderful because it awakens, so much potential and so much energy. I'm talking about, like, a lot of us have to erase our preconceptions of Elul. This is a different discussion. It's not for now. Because Elul often brought with it, like, a sense of dread and, like, overwhelming fear, as if that actually works for anyone to get themselves moving. But whatever, it's a different discussion, right? But Lamaisa, Elul opens up this incredible feeling of opportunity. So you ever wonder to yourself, and I don't know, maybe I'm the only person who I come to Elul and I think about, like, where I am now and where I was last year this time. And one of the most sad, frustrating, upsetting things is that all too often I find myself kind of like in the same place, or at least it feels like I'm in the same place. A little bit of movement, but not nowhere near what I thought I was going to accomplish this year. It's like, what's the pshat with it? Like, what's the pshat? So of course, there's not one answer to this, but I think many of us face this. To a certain degree, it's like almost like the nature of the spiritual human condition. Why don't we get traction? Why don't we get traction? So it's not because we're lazy, because we're not lazy. That's really, in other words, we joke around about, we're not lazy people. We're hopefully all driven and motivated and hardworking people. So what's the pshat? So I will say the pshat is that sometimes when we embark upon spiritual growth, if you were to ask a person, what's the recipe for spiritual growth? What's the answer? Recipe for spiritual growth. Answer is? Survey says?
Be around spiritual people.
Be around spiritual people. Good. Surround yourself with positive influences.
Clarity of goal.
Action, clarity of... So good. So in other words,
What are you doing?
people normally answer with, like, more Torah, more davening, which is all true. More Torah is always good. Remember the PHS said more Torah. The problem just is more Torah is beautiful, but more Torah leading to what? Like Zevi just mentioned, what's my vision for myself? Like, where is the destination? Where am I trying to get to? What am I trying to do? What's the goal? What's the finish line? There's never really a finish line, but what's the interim finish line? Where am I trying to go? So therefore, the Rebbe says is like this: the ability to yearn and want is very powerful. Because what does yearning and wanting represent? What is that? That's your finish line. That's your finish line. What you yearn for, what you want, and we're going to talk about this more, that's what you're trying to get to. But that's beautiful. But if you talk about what you want to get to and you desire what you want to get to, but only one issue, you never actually leave the house to get there, then at a certain point in time, you just become disillusioned and disenchanted. And suddenly, again, that goal, that desire, those yearning, that destination, it becomes meaningless. So there's this incredible balance where if I'm all action and no vision, we'll call it no yearning-filled vision, then I end up going in a lot of different directions, and lav dafka, I'm moving myself forward in a comprehensive way. But if it's all vision and no action, that leads to a sense of disillusionment. So there's this incredible balance that on one hand, you have to have the teshuka, you have to have the kisuvin, you have to have the yearning, the wants, the desire. What's your vision for yourself? But the Rebbe says, okay, now after you have some level of clarity on that, then what are you doing? Then what are the concrete actionable steps to be able to move myself forward? And the Rebbe says, all too often, we get so caught up in the planning, so to speak, or in the vision, that we kind of forget about the execution. And the danger is too much time in the planning visionary stage leads to disillusionment, disappointment, and life disenchantment, which then all causes me to forget my vision, which then allows me to fall into the pit of Yesh. Now, of course, the other piece that the Rebbe is highlighting over here is very Rabbi Nachman-esque, right? Because Rabbi Nachman was the one, we actually spoke about this last Shabbos, right? That Rabbi Nachman was the one who said, Ein shum yeyosh ba'olam klal. Right, Rabbi Nachman again writes extensively that the greatest tool of the Yetzer Hara is not hate. Right, everyone thinks that what does the Yetzer Hara do? The Yetzer Hara tries to get me to sin. The Rebbe says no, that's not what the Yetzer Hara does. The Yetzer Hara doesn't have to get you to sin. He has something much more powerful. The much more powerful thing is Yeyosh, despair. If the Yetzer Hara can make you feel bad about yourself, if the Yetzer Hara can make you in a sense of despair, giving up hope on yourself, then the truth is that opens the door to all kinds of negative behavior. The moment a person gives up on themselves is the moment that ultimately, again, they open themselves up to all types of negativity. And that's what I was saying over here. Sometimes too much time in the visionary, yearning stage, not followed up by action, causes yesh, causes despair. And the moment that happens is unfortunately the gateway and the opening to so much negative spiritual behavior, or I should say antithetical spiritual behavior. Good. Chav Dalet. So we're going to continue. But I'll say what's interesting about tonight is normally we see that the pieces of the Rebbe are often not interconnected. They're often separate themes. Tonight, amazingly enough, they happen to really blend beautifully with each other. Chav Dalet. Chav Dalet. So the Rebbe says, in Kvar Nesisa Sakal Alecha. So this is incredible. If you've already tried all of my strategies, the Rebbe says, it's beautiful. If you've tried everything, right? Rebbe, I've been learning Tzav Zeros, I've been taking notes, I've been chazering, I have a chaburah, right? I'm doing everything. I've tried all of the different mechanisms, I've tried all of the different strategies. V'lo ha'alta. Nothing has worked. Nothing has worked. I'm still not able to, now I will say, when he says nothing has worked, what that means is, I'm unable to move myself forward. I'm stuck. You know, I'll say, I don't know. We all, I think, experience that stuck feeling. Like, right, we always get the same mashal. It's like, it's like the uncle at the family gathering who always tells the same joke. Always, is that you? Is that you? I'm sorry. Right? Always tells the same joke, right? And you're like, number one, you're not funny, right? And number two, try a little bit. Google something new, right? Put in a little bit of effort, just a shtick effort, something that shows. So that says that sometimes in life, like we get stuck. We just get stuck. And I tried all the strategies, and I still can't unstuck myself. So the Rebbe says, what should you listen to this? In Kvar Orarta, sorry, it's I've tried everything. And I still can't awaken my soul. No matter what I do, I can't get myself going. So I'll say, so this is interesting. This is even, to a certain degree, Chav Daled is even like a step before Chav Gimel. See, in Chav Gimel, my problem is, I'm yearning for all the right things, I'm just not acting. In Chav Daled, there's almost like a more existential issue, which is, I can't even get myself to yearn for all the right stuff. I don't know, whatever it is. I just can't seem to move myself forward in any kind of comprehensive way. So what do I do? He says, I say zos. We'll say, get ready for this. This is incredible. What should you do? Tzaddik. I will say, this is absolutely wild. The Rebbe says, what do you do in life if I can't get myself moving and motivated? I can't even yearn for the right things. I'm stuck. I'm just stuck. What do I do? The Rebbe says, if you tried everything else and nothing's worked, here's the pull in case of emergency plan. What do? Imagine in your mind that you are a tzaddik. Now, it's not just imagine. Have the image of your mind in you, righteous you. There's actual me, and there's righteous you. And I will say, now we spoke about this before, right? That this is an interesting and complicated exercise. What does pious you look like? So I'll say, I think the problem, we spoke about this a little bit last week's share, I think the problem we often have with piety is, right, we have an image of piety, right? What is piety? Right? Piety is, I'm in an alleyway in Meir Sha'arim, like Rav Yashiv, like learned in the O.L. Sarah Shul, right? He closed the door in there. That's piety. Piety is me, hunched over a Gemara, right? Oblivious to everything else in the world. Now, that's beautiful. But the truth is, that is not shaykh for most of us. Maybe even all of us. I mean, to be hunched over a Gemara for a little while, sure. But to be secluded, in an alleyway of Meir Sha'arim, the Pashtos, that's not... So sometimes the challenge we have is, what does personal piety look like for you? What is the image of pious you? See, I'll say, the image of pious me still has to have a day job, right? Because again, I still have to pay the bills. So retirement, right? Retirement is not in the cards. So pious me still has to get up and go to work, right? Pious me still has all the responsibilities of day-to-day life. So what does pious me look like? And I will say, this is a tremendous avodah, because I think, and this all goes back to planning out your destination. So again, if you don't have the image of pious me, right, of pious you, then at the end of the day, what am I working towards? Then how do I get to my destination if I don't know what the destination is? So the Rebbe says, listen to this. So I've tried everything, right? We're already up to Chav Dalet. I've tried everything, 23 different ideas. I've tried everything. Nothing's working. The Rebbe says, okay, here's what you do. Close your eyes. Imagine pious you. What does he look like? What does he do? How does he behave? How does pious you daven? What time does pious you get to davening? What time does pious you leave davening? What does pious you do during the course of davening? How much time does pious you dedicate to learning every single day? And when he is learning, what is he doing during that actual time? How does pious you interact with his family? How does he treat his wife? How does he treat his kids? How does he treat his friends? How is pious you involved in the community? What does he do for his community? What does he do for class? I will say, these are all the questions I have to answer, because without an image of pious me, how do I know what it is that I'm working towards? So the Rebbe says, envision your pious you. Tzaddik. I will say, now, it's more than that. What the Rebbe is saying, imagine for a moment, you are pious you. Get it? You hear this? You hear this? Right now, remember again, when I started Chav Dalet, where was I holding in life? When I started Chav Dalet, where was I holding? Right? I'm stuck. I'm not even doing anything bad, particularly. I'm just stuck. I will say, no, anybody have like a day like this or a decade like this, right? But just like, this is not interactive.
I'm a guest. I'm not from around here.
I was like, we can go through so So we go through again, whether it's a week or a decade or decades, and I'm just stuck. And again, I would say sometimes it's not for a lack of trying, right? Again, if it's a lack of trying, I get it. But sometimes I've tried, I just can't get myself moving. So this is, what do? Imagine pious you, and now tell yourself, that's me. In this moment now, I have become pious me. So you hear what's happened? I started Chav Dalet and I was stuck. Now 3 lines later, I have become pious me. Right? I am the tzaddik I always wanted to be. Urei b'dimyoncha es godal nishmascha b'sharsha. And now when you look at pious you, what should you see? Wow, you know what? I am one good-looking tzaddik. Right? In other words, they're like, wow, that guy is beautiful. He's beautiful. He is incredible. He is holy. He is alamas. I both say, now again, this all presupposes that I could create an image of pious me. I think what the Rebbe says very, very simply, I think is not so pashut. I don't know that we've given thought to this. What does pious me actually look like? So presupposing that you can establish that, the Rebbe says, okay, you have that image, now flip the switch, that's you. You're not the guy stuck in mediocrity. You're not the guy stuck in a rut. You are pious you. You are pious you. And see how beautiful your neshama is. V'estifarta b'shah sh'Hashem ba v'chol kidoshav imo lishtashea u'letayel ima began Elokim be'eden. And imagine that moment. Listen to this beautiful wording. Imagine you are that beautiful neshama. A beautiful neshama that is so radiant, that is so spiritually luminescent, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls up the Malachim and he says, listen, we got to go spend some time with that guy. With that guy. You see that guy down there? You see him, that tzaddik? Come on, Chavra, field trip, right? Let's go. We're going to spend a little bit of time with that beautiful neshama. Hishaka v'hasmid b'machshava v'dimyon zeh neged einecha. So the Rebbe says, reinforce that image. Spend time with that image more and more. Va'az, listen to this. I'afshar shelo yisorer becha zehirus yisera. The Rebbe will say this is actually an incredible technique. The Rebbe is saying, imagine the person you want to be, and now say to yourself, I hereby proclaim that I am that person. That I am that person. Now, if you do this enough, something interesting happens, which is you begin to believe that you're that person. And if you believe that you're that person, then what occurs? You change your behavior. I will say, you know how like after Yom Kippur, you know how like a person is so careful with how they behave, right? For like 15 minutes, right? But like, you know, like I'm so careful. Why? Because after Yom Kippur, like after that Ne'ilah, I really feel like I've been forgiven, I've been cleansed, and I'm a new person. I am the tzaddik I wanted to be. And what that does is it's so beautiful. Like you're so careful with everything, right? I'm careful how I say a bracha. I'm careful how I talk. I'm avoiding lashon hara. I'm doing this. Of course, at a certain point in time, like most things in life, it tends to wane a little bit. Not wear off, but wane a little bit. But there's this idea, says the Rebbe, that if you just tell yourself you are that person, then you become that person. I am now the tzaddik, the image of the tzaddik I wanted to be. I am the true tzaddik I'm capable of becoming. Believe that about yourself, and you will begin to act that person. I will say, I'll just mention over here something amazing. In Tshuva, and it's interesting again that it's almost Chodesh Elul, so we're getting into these inyanim. In Tshuva, Rav Avram Yitzchak HaKohen Kook, in his Sefer Oros HaTshuva, see, he has a number, it's a very esoteric Sefer. You know, what's interesting about Rav Kook is, if you ever go, you can go to Beit Harav, you can go to Rav Kook's house. Rav Kook's house, it was actually, one time I was in Eretz Yisrael, and I stayed around the corner, and I saw they advertised Karlbach Shachris. Karlbach Shachris. Like, I love Karl. I never heard of a Karlbach Shachris. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It was the first time I found myself drinking during Psuki Tezibra. Right? In other words, it was Kalbach like Birchos HaShachar. Like it was Kalbach from the. I mean, I don't think Reb Shlomo would have. I think Reb Shlomo would have said, "Get me out of here." Like this is a bit much. So let's say, if you go to Beit Harav, amazingly enough, they have the manuscripts of Rav Kook. So actually, Rabbi Weinreb was the one who pointed this out to me. We were in the same place one summer in Eretz Yisrael, and I was asking because I was running Oros HaTshuva, and I just found it very difficult to understand. So he pointed out to me, and then I saw it afterwards. I went to Beit Harav. When you look at the manuscripts of Rav Kook, there are no erasures. There's no erasures, which is very strange. Generally, you look at manuscripts, and how do manuscripts look? There's a word, something's blotted out. There's a writing in the margin. There's this. Rav Kook, his manuscripts are perfect. Rav Kook wrote with such a clarity of thought, but for him, what was sometimes so incredibly clear for regular people is just incredibly obscure. So in Oros HaTshuva, Rav Kook writes that there are two models of tshuva. Now, there are many more than two models of tshuva, but he says two models of tshuva. There's what he calls tshuva pitomis and tshuva hadragis. Tshuva pitomis means instantaneous tshuva. He says, kibarak chazak, like a flash of lightning. Like a flash of lightning, a person could go ahead and just turn themselves around. And then there's tshuva hadragis. Tshuva hadragis is, we'll call it increment, like darga, incremental or stage tshuva, where step after step a person goes ahead and begins to affect change. What the Piagetz is describing over here is, up until now, we've really been speaking about tshuva hadragis. The steps that I can take in order to go ahead and better myself and change my life and improve my lot. What the Rebbe is saying over here is that, what do you do if the incremental model of change is not working for you? So it's something amazing. So sometimes, what do you have to do? Right? You got to do something dramatic. So what's the dramatic piece over here? This is incredible. I want to say, this is the beauty of Chassidus. What's dramatic? What's dramatic is, I'm a tzaddik. Whoever heard of such a, it's incredible. That's the dramatic. I'm a tzaddik. I'm a tzaddik. I could see future me. I know what he looks like. I know what he does. I know how he behaves. And now, hineni mekabel al atzmi, I am that guy. I am that guy. And the Rebbe says something amazing happens. If you go ahead and you will yourself to become that guy, over time, you will actually become him. Because if you say, okay, I just transform myself into future tzaddik, okay, so now I don't want to be a liar, I got to be careful. And so the Rebbe says, suddenly you're careful with what you say, with what you do, with how you act, with how you behave. Why? I'm a tzaddik. I'm a tzaddik. Tell yourself. Read again. It presupposes that you have the image of future Navos. And I want to point out, remember, this is not the ideal. This is not the ideal. Because like most forms of instantaneous change, chances are it's not going to stick. Chances are it's not going to stick. So, but that's why the Rebbe introduces this. If you tried everything else and nothing is working for you, it may be time for tshuva pitomis, something dramatic and instantaneous. The Rebbe goes on, he says, Hishaka, v'hasmi machshava v'dimyon zeh neged einecha. And every day, you have to reinforce, I'm the tzaddik, I'm the tzaddik, I'm the tzaddik, and I look like this, and I do this, and I behave like this. Va'az, is incredible. I'afshar shelo yisorer becha zihirus yiseira. You're going to change. It's impossible that you won't change. Because if you keep on reminding yourself that you are the tzaddik, I will say, this is, I want to point out, that even though the Piagetz is not citing this is steeped in previous, this was the derech of Aaron HaKohen. How did Aaron HaKohen build people up? How did Aaron HaKohen build? What was Aaron HaKohen's derech? Aaron would see someone sinning. What would he say? What wouldn't he say? What wouldn't he say? You mamzer, you oisvarf, you're a nothing, you're a this. Right? Good old... That wasn't Aaron's derech. What was Aaron's derech? Right? Tyra Yid. You're so beautiful. You're so holy. You're so special, and that's it. Not, you're so holy, you're so special. How could you do this? Aaron never said that second part. All Aaron did was build people up, because Aaron believed that if you make people believe in themselves, then ultimately, again, allow people to believe they're great, and they will act great. Build people up, and they will perform accordingly. The converse is also true. Knock people down, they'll also behave accordingly. So the Piagetz says, if you can't use any of the other strategies, activate tzaddik mode. And tzaddik mode, I'm a tzaddik. I'm beautiful. I'm holy. Here's what I am. Here's what I do. Here's how I behave. And the Rebbe says something amazing will happen. Over time, you will grow into that role. Over time, you'll grow into that persona. And a person will be careful. It creates, here's an extra added level of vigilance. As a tzaddik, this is so beautiful. As a tzaddik, I find myself in the embrace of the Ribono Shalom. And once I find myself in the embrace of the Ribono Shalom, then what I will say, I don't want to do anything to distance myself from that. Uteshuka, then we'll say, now you say to yourself, but 1 second, what about all of my averos? So I'll tell you something, what Piagetz will say to that. Piagetz says, don't worry about it. This is the beauty of Chassidus. Chassidus is a very liberating Yiddishkeit. Because, again, I'm going to have to deal with my averos. We always have to deal with your averos. But Lamais, I can't deal with it now. Because if I have to deal with the negative baggage, it's just going to bring me down. I need to figure out a way to do a major spiritual sprint. I need to get myself. We had it in Daf Yomi. Just or 2 days ago.
To sell the field, I'll deal with based on tomorrow.
I'll do it based on tomorrow, right? I was thinking of the other Gemara that we had. I think it was yesterday, where the Gemara says that when a group of women are coming back from a levaya, right, the Satan is Meraki Barashan. The Satan is there. So we spoke about this idea a little bit. So the Gemara says, so what should you do if a group of women is coming back from a levaya and you're right there? What do you do? So the Gemara says, Yikpots Dalar Amas. You should try to jump 6 amas away. Shabbos say, this is just, I'll finish the sentence, then you can jump down my throat, but sometimes the way to deal with your problems is to leave them behind. Now, that only works temporarily. But sometimes what I need to do is when I'm in a rut, I need to do something to get myself out. I need to propel myself forward. And then, subsequently, when I'm in a good place, I'll circle back and deal with all the spiritual debris. I'll circle back and deal with all the stuff that's broken. But if you're going to make me deal with the broken stuff now, I'm going to be stuck. I'm going to lose myself in it. So as the Gemara says, so you see the Satan approaching you, you see all the baggage of life right in front of you. Sometimes what you need to do is yikpot talam. So you just need to jump somewhere else. Just get away. Just go somewhere else. Piaget says sometimes in life you're stuck. I'm a tzaddik. Hey, no, you're not. Not a tzaddik. What about what you did yesterday? What about what you did last week? What about what I've been doing for the last 30 years? I'm not a tzaddik. I am. Yeah, I am. It's one of those kind of conversations that goes, yeah, I am. I'm a tzaddik, actually. I'm actually a tzaddik. But what about the past? What about all the stuff? I got it. We're going to deal with that. But right now, I am a tzaddik. And the Rebbe says, when you make yourself a tzaddik, something amazing happens. Reinforce it enough, you're going to believe it. And once you believe it, you're going to feel compelled to live up to that identity. And once you feel compelled to live up to that tzaddik identity, then everything changes. Then my life changes, my behaviors change, and then at a certain point in time, I'll find the strength to circle back and clean up the debris. See what you're going to say?
Rob mentioned, I think it was in a shir last year, Piaget said you become a tzaddik gamer, even if you push up in the mirror for 5 minutes.
Right.
You become a tzaddik gamer for that 5 minutes.
So true. Right. This is part of the Piaget's theme, this ability to propel yourself to a new spiritual height just simply by wishing it so. But remember, but it all presupposes that I have a clear vision as to what I want from myself in life. What does future pious me look like? Because without that identity, I'm not going to. Let's just finish up. He says, ad kalos hanefesh liskos lazeh tis orbecha. And ultimately, again, then a true yearning. When I reinforce my tzaddik identity enough, then at the end of the day, then at the end of the day, ultimately, again, I'll awaken such a desire to actually want to fit in to that identity. So sometimes life is about creating the identity or the vision of the person you want to be, flipping a switch, saying I am that person, even though I'm not, but I am. And by convincing myself that I am that person, ultimately, again, my behaviors will slowly but surely catch up there. Now, again, to be clear, the Rebbe is saying this is not the ideal. The ideal is tshuva hadragis, step after step, right? Incremental stage advancement. But sometimes in life you just need a shot. Sometimes in life you just need like a spiritual kick. I just need to get myself from point A to point B. Also, like lahavdil. Do you remember maybe like the first time you ever tried Red Bull? I'll tell you the truth. I resisted. I never drank it because I don't know why. But one time I had to drive from Ohio to Baltimore. I drove back and forth within 2 days. And it was, so I drank, and I was, I'll tell you something, like, I don't know, I've never had it before. Mamish, like, it doesn't just give you wings. Like, you don't know where you are. Like, I mean, like, all I know is I felt like I got back to Baltimore in 15 minutes. It was, and I was ready to do the trip again. It was.
And then you realize you left your car in Ohio.
It's great. And I was like, I'm exhausted. I was like, sometimes in life, you just need the spiritual Red Bull, right? That sometimes in life, just, for whatever the reason, the regular steps aren't working. They're not working. So I just need the Red Bull. Chaf Dalid is the spiritual Red Bull. Not the ideal. The ideal is everything we've seen before. Go through the steps, do the work. But sometimes, again, I just need to get myself to being a tzaddik, and then Amir Hashem, confident I will grow into the identity. I will say, we didn't get the shalosh for this. Amir Hashem, there's no shir next week. No shir. Sorry.
Something I said.
Surprisingly not. So no shir next week. I will say, but then Amir Hashem, But then Amir Hashem, we are on for the finals. Then Amir Hashem. After that, we will be Amir Hashem in Chodesh Elul. I think we're still going to continue with Tzav the Zeros through Elul as well, unless we do maybe some of the pieces that I have on Elul. I will say, shkoyach to everyone. My rib in the main shul.
An invite to the WhatsApp.
Oh, thank you.